Welcome to Chillin In da Lounge. And guys, today I'll be doing a reaction on Noah Eckstein. And I don't know if I pronounced his name correctly, but he is the speaker at the Harvard Commencement 2026. And I just think that when it comes to these types of speeches, it takes a lot to know or figure out what you're going to be talking about or speaking about. And I think with everything going on in the world today, I think Noah decided that he wants to like tone down the rhetoric. He want to give a speech that's going to unite the whole world. And, you know, in some people's eyes, it may seem a little biased, but I think for him, he can only speak for his life, his experience, where he stand, his viewpoint, and whatnot. But on a whole, his speech is based on unity. And, you know, why don't we just go ahead and get into the whole video and you can judge or make your own opinions and talk about it in the comments or whatnot. Let's go ahead and take a look at the video, all right?
My life begins with something that could be the start of a joke. And it goes like this. A Christian, a Muslim, and a Jew walk into a bar. I know historically the setup is a little bit dicey, but this time was a little bit different. This time, the Christian married the Muslim, and they had a daughter. That daughter grew up Christian until she met the Jew, converted to Judaism, married the Jew, and had a son. 22 years later, that son is standing here with all of you graduating from Harvard University. I am a proud Jew. I'm also the proud grandson of a Christian and the proud grandson of a Muslim. But that is...
You know, with everything going on in this world right now at this moment, with the war in Iran, the stuff that's going on with Israel, you know, it must be tough for families. In his case, you know, he has a mixture of Israel, Jewish, I should say, and I forgot the other side he mentioned, but you know, it's very complicated, and he's going to get into a little bit of that, and you'll probably understand what probably brought him to this speech, you know, and I think it's just going to be able to give us a little insight or help us to understand that even if we may be different, we should always or still be able to agree or disagree on things. And let's go ahead and continue and listen, all right?
It's not a contradiction in any sense of the word. It's proof of a concept. And that concept is what I want to talk to you all about today. Because my family taught me something I think this world could really use right now. Which is that the counter to division isn't necessarily agreement. It's understanding. Our world today, all the way from the global stage to right here at Harvard, has been split into two sides. There are two sides to every story, of course, only two sides. Two sides to every conflict, argument, disagreement. Good and bad. Give and take. Right and left. Progressive and conservative, capitalist and communist, oppressor and oppressed, rich and poor, US and China, US and Russia, Russia and Ukraine, Israel and Palestine, Israel and Iran, US and Iran, US and Israel and Iran. All in binaries. At least they're presented to us in terms of binaries. Here's this issue. What do you think? What side are you on? Come on, where do you stand? Who do you stand with? In my family, well, my family wouldn't exist with that kind of approach. My grandfather's one, a Pakistani Muslim who grew up in the middle of the Indo-Pakistani War of 1947. The other, a Jewish refugee of the Holocaust, met many times over the course of their lives. As you might imagine, they disagreed.
Like you see, he mentioned that one of his grandparents are Jewish, the other one is a Pakistani Muslim, and that's where a lot of this issue is going on right now. So that's tough. That's tough to deal with. So let's see what message he has to bring to us right now.
A great many things. And yet, one of the main memories I have of them growing up was seeing them sitting together at a coffee table, discussing everything under the sun. And when they weren't in close proximity, I remember hearing their voices over the phone as they called my parents, always remembering at the end of each call to ask about the other, how they were doing, what were they up to. Of course, there are many differences that they never resolved, but still they acknowledged each other, they cared for each other, they stayed in contact, and they debated with each other. Their vast disparity in life experience, viewpoints, ideology, faith, and beliefs. A point of contention, yes, but not a point of division. And yet, somewhere in between their generation and ours, something in the conversation shifted. The debates got louder, the noise.
So he's saying, his parents, his grandparents they didn't agree on much stuff. And of course, because you're talking about one side who believe one set of things and the other side who believe another set of things. And, they both are blaming each other for what's happening right now. And of course, for me, I can't say I don't know what what went wrong, how this started or whatnot. But one thing I would say, I just don't think it's right to just kill people and just have a war bombing people and their families. That's just crazy to me. So, hey, that's my view.
Noise got louder, the listening stopped, it got harder. On the news, on your timeline, at the dinner table, people speaking without listening, people arguing, having already decided their own allegiances, people debating not to listen, understand, or to learn, but to win, to humiliate, to be right. And somewhere along the way, the person sitting across the table stopped being a person and became an obstacle. Now, some would say that there are in fact people in this world for whom understanding is neither owed nor even worth the attempt. People whose very irredeemable actions or beliefs place them beyond the reach of dialogue. People who indeed have become nothing more than obstacles to the greater good. And maybe that's true. Well, my grandfathers survived the atrocities of war and worse, and they knew better than anyone that people can do monstrous things. They also knew the most terrifying fact of all, which is that the peoples doing those monstrous things, they were human. Not forgivable, not necessarily redeemable, but human, terrifyingly so. And it's precisely because of that human capacity that understanding them mattered. Dialogue still mattered. Not necessarily dialogue in the sense of extending grace or providing a platform, but again, understanding. Asking, how did they get to this point? How did they reach this conclusion? Why do they believe this? Asking these questions in this context holds a light up to the darkest parts of what it means to be human. And as such, we have to grapple with them. But such questions, necessary questions, important questions, are not only reserved for the darkest parts of human history. If such questions of understanding, why do they believe this? If such questions of understanding matter that much at that extreme of humanity, how much more do they matter for the people sitting around you right now? For that family member at Thanksgiving that you stop bringing certain topics up around. For that person on the internet that says things from a viewpoint that seems kind of...
And at this point, you can see he's trying to make everybody think and realize that we're human beings, and it's not right to hate and create division We all have opinions. We feel a certain way about certain subjects, and that's fine. But we should be able to agree to disagree. We should be able to still live our life and be in communication, be able to work with each other, love each other, and whatnot. So he's just trying to paint a picture where they can still coexist and understand we are all humans, and the blood flows through all of us, not just one. It doesn't make one better than the other. And if you really think about it, with his parents being basically on opposite sides, if they were to be at division with each other, what would his life be like? So that's an important thing. And I like the fact that he's making them think, look at the people next to them, see how different they are, and, you know, try to open their eyes to come to a better viewpoint as to where all this chaos is going and what should be happening right now.
Unimaginable sometimes. For that student in section that you smiled at once and said, interesting point, and then went back to your dorm and complained about to your roommate. Or for that one friend that you started to phase out because they said some things once that just didn't sit quite right with you. Take about 8 billion of those people, put them together, and you get our world. Many of us who come to Harvard have dreams of changing the world, of leaving an impact. But you cannot change a world that you refuse to understand, to talk to. You cannot convince someone of something if you do not understand them first. Peace through understanding can survive conflict, while peace through agreement lasts only as long as everyone keeps agreeing. In most cases, understanding is difficult. Sometimes you have to fight for it. Sometimes you have to fight yourself and your own beliefs first before you can truly achieve it. It takes effort. My grandfathers knew that.
And that's true. You have to fight your beliefs because that's the main thing that's, causing you to, stand strong on what you believe in, you know. And I like the fact that he's focusing on that point. It's very telling. I mean, just listening to this, when I heard this speech or started listening to it, immediately made me look at the world and what we're going through. And I thought about his parents and how they still cared about each other as human beings. They could have hated each other, be separate, but what would have happened to him is the fact that he would just see a family at a time. He would never see them together. He never see them arguing. And this has, you could tell this has taught him a big lesson in life where he can disagree and learn and understand that even though we disagree, I still care about you. I still want to be uh, able to have conversations, to be able to have a relationship, even if it's not perfect, but some type of relationship to be able to move on in life.
But they chose to try anyway. So, as we all go out into an increasingly troubled world and divided world, I want to leave you all with one simple practice. Whenever you meet someone you disagree with, state your case, yes. Stand up for what you believe in, absolutely. But also, ask the other person about their beliefs. Ask them how they got there. Place yourself in their shoes and ask, why do I believe this? Listen like you might be wrong. That is not a weakness or betrayal of your own ideals. That is the hardest and most important thing you can do in a world that is constantly telling you, pick a side. I told you my life begins like a joke. Well, my Muslim grandfather was buried facing Mecca. My Jewish grandfather was buried in accordance with Jewish law. My Christian grandmother was buried with the cross. In a way, the punchline never really came. There was no resolution to the setup. They were all very stubborn, and they held on to their own ideals and traditions until the very end. But still, they respected each other, they chose each other, and at the end of the day, they were proud to be of one family. Look around you right now. Look at the people around you. The person to your right, the person to your left. You're sitting now amongst people of every belief and every background. A family that we have built over the years here at Harvard. Do we agree on everything? Ask the section kid. Will we ever agree on everything? Certainly not. The world beyond these walls, it has all the same disagreements, the same differences of opinion, the same divisions that we have. But I urge you, see the people in your class for who they are as people. Fight to understand them and their beliefs just as much as you stand up and fight for your own. And after you walk through the gates of this yard for the first time as Harvard graduates, do the same for the people of our world. Because in a time this complicated and this divided, understanding and a genuine willingness to look a little bit deeper is how those divisions start to heal. Thank you all, and congratulations to the class of 26.
I see in this speech that he wanted to make a difference. He see where the world is going right now, and I think that he thought about his future, he thought about his kids, he thought about his grandparents to begin with, how it turned out, and the direction that this world is going now. He's probably fearful what that might mean for him, for his children, if he have a family down the line, or you know what is going to happen. You know what I'm saying? Is this world going to end in nuclear war, like a bomb just blew and that's it, we're done, we're gone? Or can we be able to work through this, start looking at things different? He had to sit down and think about what message he wanted to send out. And that's a big deal. But he decided to take this message to his peers and his peers as well as the world, because this speech went out to the world. And I hope a lot of people see it and see the good in this speech and what he's trying to say. And we could take it and change what's happening and transform this world. I mean, it's been years, hundreds of years with hate and all this separation and segregation and all of this. But we have to believe that this can change, and that's where we gotta put our foot down and work towards helping each other understand that a human life is a big deal, and it shouldn't be as easy to just understand how people are just dying for no apparent reason. And I'm gonna leave you with this, and I hope that we all can love and get rid of that word hate, get rid of all those negative words that separate us as people, as human beings, and create division among us. And I just want to thank you guys for watching. And go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe, and we'll see you with another video another time. Thank you.